How are we all doing? Welcome to the Let's Talk podcast, and today we're going to be continuing our series on depression. And in this episode, we're going to be discussing getting help when it comes to depression. And this is something we feel we've briefly discussed in past episodes, but we feel it's a very important step and process when it comes to depression, and we wanted to dedicate a full episode to that.
Yeah, and as always, what we're going to be talking about today is from our own experiences and our opinions on depression.
Yeah. So when we say getting help, what does that mean to you? Because I feel it's quite a sort of a broad thing to say.
It is a really broad thing to say, and I think it completely can be used in different ways in certain situations. So I know when we've talked about it in terms of what do we see as getting help, and there's a few different ones we thought of. So like, you know, we can get help to understand, we can get help to cope, we can get help to overcome. So a good example is when I wanted to understand what was going on with myself going through depression, I went to the doctors.
Yeah.
And I would class that, I went out there to get help to understand what was going on from a professional.
So with the doctors, what was your experience with that, and how did you get to that point yourself? Was like, right, I'm ready to go to the doctors now, or I want to go to the doctors now?
Yeah, I can't really remember the time before I went to the doctors, but I do feel like my dad was very encouraging to actually make me go to the doctors.
Yeah.
And I did go with my dad because I was saying, like, I don't want to be sat there at the doctors. It's difficult to,
sometimes you need the parents there to explain it for you. Sometimes
he actually did. Yeah, he was actually saying he's been feeling like this. Obviously, what I've told him, and then obviously the doctor. It's strange because when I look back now, it's like she's probably never going to hit. Like the doctor had told, has not heard this before. When really, there's probably a lot of people that go to the doctors seeking to understand, getting advice on depression and mental health.
Yeah.
So she gave some leaflets and numbers I could ring to do counselling. She offered to do medication. And then she was just telling me like certain things I could do, to try and help, like exercise, open up to friends and family.
Yeah. So when you went, there wasn't in a sense just one option? She presented you with different ones, and do you feel that maybe it was helped you try and find in a sense the right thing for you to do, to help you with your depression? Because obviously there's so many different options, so to speak, and about finding the right one for you.
Yeah, so the way I seen it, to be honest, was there was options, and I wanted to try anything to obviously get better.
Yeah.
So I think I tried everything she suggested because I wanted to get better, so I was up to trying anything because I couldn't have gone on with how I was feeling.
Yeah.
How was your experience going to the doctors?
Yeah, so as mentioned previously, when I went to the doctors, that was in a sense one of the first people I sort of opened up to once, sort of realising it in myself. And similar to you, she offered me, as you say, there's options for medication, say like leaflets that explained about counselling, and then just like, as you say, sort of everyday things. And for me, I felt the doctor was also good because I knew in a sense there was confidentiality there, and it was privacy. So anything I said, I felt I knew wasn't going to go outside of that room, and I feel that was a very important part for me because obviously it's a very personal and private thing, talking about your mental health and dealing with depression.
Yeah, I feel like that is such a big thing to remember. If anyone goes to the doctors like you did, it is confidential, and I think that it makes it a lot more comfortable.
Definitely, yeah.
I think that's the word, isn't it?
Yeah. So one of the things you mentioned, obviously, the doctor outlined all these different routes you could take in a sense, and I know one of them you did take was medication. And just briefly, what was your sort of your experience with that?
My experience was absolutely terrible. Yeah, I to be honest, I didn't really know what to expect when I was going to take medication for my depression. So I was very open-minded in terms of how it would make me feel, how it even works.
Yeah.
So she prescribed me some medication. I can't remember the name of it, so I can't quote that. But I was taking it for about 8 days, and it made me feel awful.
In what way? Like you like feeling sick, or you're making your head feel worse, or
Everything. Like, it made like my overthinking really, really bad. I feeling sick. I was dehydrated. I couldn't eat. I couldn't keep anything down.
and why was that? Was that like a side effect? And then did they explain to you this was a possibility?
Yeah, so it is a side effect, is what they mentioned. Because I did go to the doctors on that 8th day to say, this is how I'm feeling. How long is this going to last? Because I can't carry on. And they were saying, well, it is just the side effect. So I bet I was best just riding it out.
Yeah.
I know another option probably would have been I could have lowered the dosage,
Oh,
etc.
yeah.
But I think for me at that point, I was like, I just want to not feel like this now.
I've had enough. This is worse in a way.
Yeah, so I decided to stop taking them,
Yeah.
and then I think after a few days, I started coming a bit like back to normal.
Yeah.
Not feeling so sick and ill.
And did they say in a sense, if you'd have kept taking them, would that have eventually passed, and then maybe it would have taken for you?
Yeah, maybe. That's what they said. That
But
I'll just get through that.
You didn't want to.
hurdle
You couldn't get to that point.
I was ill.
I remember how you were. I remember you, like you say, you couldn't eat. You were.
Yeah, I think for me, for me, I was in a bad place anyway, like a really bad place, and then it took me to a worse place.
That wasn't helping initially.
So it was for me like back then. It was just like get out,
Yeah.
at least feel a bit better.
Yeah.
Maybe if I stuck it out, it could have worked. It could have been amazing. But it's just not my experience.
At that point in your life, your time, it was just like, no, I can't.
Yeah.
Like this.
And I know you actually tried medication.
Again, I had a very similar experience to yourself, and I went and they offered me different tablets. I remember one of them was called propranolol, which I think is a beta blocker. I think that was for anxiety. And then they gave me some tablets for depression. Like, I can't remember what they were called, but again, I remember the first set they gave me, I was feeling, for a week I was feeling sick. I couldn't eat. I was just, like you say, feeling drained and ill within myself. And again, I went back to the doctors, and then they offered me a different type of medication to that, and I was taking that one, and that wasn't making me feel sick. But even when I was taking them ones that weren't having the side effects on me, I didn't in myself really feel much of a difference.
So you didn't have any side effects really?
Apart the first time round I did, and then with the second ones I didn't take in them. But if I forgot to take one or missed one, I remember I used to get this pulse feeling go through my body. Like if you sort of like got like sort of in like an electrical shock, like that jolt, and feel like like that. Yeah. And I remember sometimes this was at a point when I was working at McDonald's. I remember being on shift once and I forgot to take him, and I was sort of like stood like making the burgers, whatever, and it was just like. And I felt like at points I could have like fell over or passed out, and I knew it was because I was
How long did it last?
I think throughout the day until I then would take the tablet.
Oh my
and
God.
so I didn't like that side of it as well. And within myself, even when I said to doctors, yes, I'll take medication, I knew it was something I didn't really want to do within myself, and I felt there was other avenues I could take to deal with my depression that didn't involve medicine. And that's not putting anything against medication, because the medicine in the modern days is amazing, and for a lot of people it does wonderful things, and for a lot of mental illnesses and so on, it's incredible. But as we say, our experiences weren't great. So that and I was sort of hesitant going in, and then that experience for me just really made me like, no, it's definitely, I don't like that.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like, because I tried it and it didn't go great at all. It kind of just
put you off the idea.
Put it back at the queue for then, for things to try or what to do.
So after you've stopped your medication, and obviously you're still dealing with your mental health issues. What was maybe some of the other avenues you then went down to get help in these different ways you'd mentioned?
Yeah, I know I mentioned this on previous episodes, but one that I really found useful and helped a lot was actually online, like researching online.
Yeah.
Researching forums, reading other people's stories. I think that for me gave me a lot of understanding.
Yeah.
What is massive when you feel like you don't know anything and you don't know what's going on with yourself.
Did it help sort of like, as we mentioned, sort of like give it a label and an identity, and then I'm guessing seeing other people's experiences, you could relate and give you sort of a feeling like, oh, I'm not alone, and that maybe in a way also helped you in dealing with your depression feel okay. other people are going through this. It's not just me, and maybe give you like a bit of strength or confidence, like, I can take it on.
I think that's the big thing you just said, is feeling like you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big realization for me. Like, because I remember when I first started feeling how I did think I was on my own.
Yeah.
And like, why does no one else feel like this?
No, I definitely agree. You feel like I'm the only one who's ever gone through this in life, and I'm all on my own. I'm in my room, and I'm feeling like this. And but online is as an incredible tool. And so, do you think that's an element of it? Is, I know we've mentioned, we're big advocates for speaking to others, and but that it is that in a sense a big part of it is speaking with other people, and that sort of like group mentality does help a lot.
I think so. I think the way I view it is that as long as you're not keeping it in, that's what matters. Like, if you're telling someone online to go into like support groups, virtual support groups or physical support groups, and I think it's amazing just to get it off your chest. But to touch on support groups as well, I think they're so amazing, because you can be surrounded by people who will have an element of understanding, and you should, and it's meant to feel comfortable as well, because no one will judge each other, because everyone has their own experiences going on. And I think they're just amazing for people who go there.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing you mentioned there is, in a sense, you're in a room of people who you're all going through the same thing or a very similar thing. And I know for myself, when I was at points when I was opening up, I was trying to tell people about my depression and things. It felt like, but they don't really understand, because they're not going through. Or they may have been, but I didn't know. And there's that element of it. So I feel I've never been to a support group myself, or been through that type of route. But I feel, or even if someone opened up to you because I knew you were going through depression and vice versa, it helps, because it feels like it does have an idea and understanding. And that's not taking anything away from other people I did open up to, but it did add an extra level of, like you say, maybe comfort or feeling of help, just knowing I was speaking to someone that did understand that, even at a basic level, in a sense.
Yeah, I completely agree and understand as well. I think just knowing that someone is going through an experience, obviously not the same as our own, but it'd make you feel a bit more comfortable just to speak to them about things, because they've opened up about theirs.
Yeah, and I think that understanding can't be understated how important, how far that can go. And I think that comes on to sort of like another thing that I think is really helpful, is that sort of like mental health organisations and charities that are dedicated to mental health. And first and foremost, I just want to say I feel them services are incredible, and the people who work for them, a lot of them are on a volunteer basis, and I think they're just, I can't think of another word. It's incredible, but the help and support that they offer. And this one's in the UK, Samaritans, Calm, Young Minds. Well, if you just go on Google, there's loads, and
there's hundreds, isn't there? Really.
And we've put some in our description below for sort of different countries. But have you ever had any sort of experience with these organisations or charities, or heard of any or anything like that? I
personally haven't, but I know of one of my friends reached out to the Samaritans, but were really good. And I remember I didn't reach out to the Samaritans, but I did look on the website. I remember looking on the website, and I really liked how they had like so many different ways to contact them. Yeah. To what you're feeling most comfortable to. Yeah. So you could do like video chat, live chat. You could ring them. You could email them. And for me, that was, I just felt like that is such a good idea. Yeah. Because people don't always feel more comfortable open up one way. Definitely, yeah. But yeah, my friend had an experience with the Samaritans, and he was emailing them, and he said it was really good. And I think what he found useful is just getting everything off his chest, and just completely pulling it all out to whoever this person was at Samaritans. And they're volunteering, like they're probably not getting paid for that at all. What I found incredible, like you just said. Yeah. But yeah, that's the only experience I know of. Do you know any experiences at all? No, I've never gone through it myself, and I don't really know of anyone, but I've sort of read things online and heard what people have said about them. And
in the sense that those people are dedicating, their jobs and their lives to helping others, and I feel it shows that they truly do care, especially on the volunteering side, because doing it in their own time, they truly want to help people. And I feel that adds that extra layer of accountability and understanding, because they're truly dedicating themselves to helping you.
It's like, they want to help you, like, in a sense, don't you? Because they're there out their own time, like you say.
Yeah, and it's, again, I just think incredible doesn't even begin to cover the work they do and how many people they do help. And as you say, there's so many different options you can get in touch, and opening up about mental health is not an easy or comfortable thing to do, but if you are thinking about opening up and approaching these charities, as Dan said, there are so many different ways you can go about it, and you will find, I'm sure, one that is very comfortable for you and right for you. And just dig that you can do it.
Yeah.
We found getting ourselves up, and you definitely can, 100%.
Yeah. And I feel like that, the charities, that's what they're there for, isn't it?
Yeah.
No other reason.
And I think most of them as well are 24/7, so they're there every minute of every day, and will always be there for you.
Yeah.
Incredible services.
And I think another really good form of getting help, what I'd see it is more of support, is friends and family.
Yeah.
So what was your experience with, when you were looking to get help? How did your friends and family help you?
I think friends and family help you in an array of ways. I think from my experience, they've helped with supporting me when I'm having down days. They've encouraged me when I've been seeking help, or they've contributed to me finding help. They're there when, as I say, I'm having down days. They're there to speak to and listen. They're there to just distract my mind. Some days just go out and do some, especially when I was suffering, to go on a walk. Or I feel, I think the key would say is that support that they provide. Do you feel is that a similar experience for you?
Exactly the same, yeah. I think just having people there to speak to, and I think a big one for me was they were there to distract me in a very nice way, because it took my mind off my own mind.
Yeah, because some days you need a break, as much as you might want to deal with it, or it's just like, I just need an hour, 5 minutes or something. Please, just need a rest.
Yeah, but no, that's the one, like, one of many, like, qualities, or I think that's the word, from when I was going through my depression and friends and family, was that I used to love just doing something with them, like an activity where you have to take your mind off it, something physical. It at the time I probably didn't notice, but now I notice, like, God, that probably helped, like, so much.
Brought, like, happiness and enjoyment into your life in a time where it was you were struggling in many ways.
Yeah.
And obviously, knowing your journey, is actually friends and family that played a key part into how you eventually found the right help for yourself.
Yeah, so this was through my dad's company, who provided healthcare, health services.
Yeah.
And I think it's becoming a lot more common now as well in the UK.
I think it's all over the world, from what you see in like you say, in works now. I know in my work I'm starting to see, like, quite a few sort of emails about as you say, healthcare services that they're signing up to or can provide, and I've seen it in loved ones in their workplace as well. And I feel, as you say, it's becoming a lot more recognised, and I think that's an amazing thing. And the fact that a lot of companies are signing up and providing staff with this, it can't be encouraged enough.
Yeah, and it's, like I say, it's another option to go to for help.
Yeah, and the more options, the better, in my opinion.
Exactly. But yeah, so how I managed to get my counselling is through my dad's work with his health service.
Yeah, we'll call it that. Yeah.
So I remember he said he was just, he'd inquire about it at work because he's heard about it, like you say, through emails, etc. And then he come home one day and was just like, just ring this number. So I rang the number, spoke to a woman, just explained how I'm feeling, what's going on. And then it's away from there. I know we're going to dedicate an episode to counselling, so I don't really want to start waffling off on my experience on how I actually came across that. And as we know, like, you've been through counselling as well.
Yeah, well, I won't say weirdly enough, but we actually had the same counsellor, which is...
I think it's very rare.
I feel it is very rare. And it, the way I got counselled was thanks to you. Because when you were going through your program, as I say, we will go into this in more detail, but you in a sense just approached and asked, is it possible for my friend to do it? And through the things that happened and the journey we took, it became possible. And I found, and ended up doing the same, as I say, the same counselling as you, but in a different way. Yours was over Skype, whereas mine was over sort of like an online portal that she'd established. So mine was that she just messaging, and yours was video calling, which for me personally, before going into counselling, I just, from what you see in films and TV, I thought it was just a sense of like, I'll sit on this like sort of like leather settee, and they'll have a little notebook, and they'll be sort of jotting things down. But so both of our experiences with counselling helped show me that, again, there's many different routes you can take with it, and again, you can find one that is maybe better suited to yourself or more comfortable. And counselling is something I would truly encourage. And I think that's, with all these different things we discussed here, that's what it helps show, is that there isn't just one option or one route when it comes to dealing with depression. There is so many out there, and I think that helps give a lot of, well, did for me anyway, sort of comfort and hope.
Yeah, I think that's it. And like, if you just look at our experiences then and what we've just talked about, like how many things did we try? How many, did we contribute to try and seek what could help us and what did help us?
Yeah.
What probably built us up to, getting to the stage where we overcome, depression.
No, definitely. And I feel for myself, it was a lot of, so to speak, trial and error. And I think I mentioned in the past that I got to a point in myself where I'd sort of given up looking for hope. Looking for help with my depression, not looking for hope, looking for help with my depression. And I'd basically reached a point where I said to myself, like, that's it, I'm done. Depression, I literally remember saying to myself, I had depression, take me.
That's so sad.
It is, it reflects
really
on it.
Sad.
And then months later, out of nowhere, as you mentioned, the help came through yourself. And I think that's one message I would really preach, is that to never give up, because you just never know what is around the corner. And the right thing, if I can find it, honestly, I promise it'll be somewhere.
Definitely.
And you can find it 100%. And it takes a lot of confidence and courage and strength to address depression, speak about depression, and it's okay to take your time. Is something we've said before, and you are so strong. You truly can do it. You truly can.
Yeah, just don't give up. I think that's the another key message. Just don't. Just keep going. Just keep going on, finding the different ways, trying different things. Just don't give up.
You can get there, and you will 100%.
Yeah. If we can, anyone can.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a really nice place to leave this episode.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. So thank you very much for listening to this episode. If you could give it a like and a share, that'd be amazing. Don't forget to subscribe and click the little notifications button thing to keep up to date with our future episodes. If you have any comments or thoughts on this episode or series, just please drop them below or on any of our social medias.
Yeah, and we're available on all social media platforms under the username @LT Podcast Online. We're available on all podcast directories such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, as well as YouTube. If you check out our description below, it's got all our links and further information in there. And as we mentioned before, some links to different sort of mental health charities and organisations in a few different countries. And as always, guys, thank you very much for listening, and we hope to catch you in the next episode. And take it easy.
Yeah, cheers guys, see you later.
I like the news crew. Now we silently shuffle papers and like.
Oh yeah, should we? Don't know what I'm doing. I was gonna get some paper.